Welcome to our channel. Today, we bring you news that weighs heavy on the heart. Some truly remarkable people have recently left this world. In this video, we will share their stories, their legacy, their final chapters. As a sign of remembrance and in support of their memory, please subscribe, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your simple action can help others hear their stories and keep their memory alive. We won't delay any longer. Let's begin this tribute to those we've lost. On April 24, 2025, in New Orleans, Louisiana, the world said farewell to Jonathan Edward McCall, a groundbreaking American musician, composer, and humanitarian whose melodies carried the stories of an entire generation. He passed away in the same neighborhood where he had first performed as a boy, surrounded by the scent of magnolia blossoms and the hum of distant jazz. Jonathan was born on September 15, 1948, in Savannah, Georgia, during the throes of post-war rebuilding and racial segregation. He was the second of 4 children, raised in a home where faith, perseverance, and education were held sacred. His father, a Baptist preacher, filled the house with sermons and spirituals. His mother, a seamstress with a passion for gospel music, taught him the value of crafting something beautiful from hardship. From an early age, Jonathan showed an unusual sensitivity to sound. At 6 years old, he fashioned his first makeshift guitar from broom handles and fishing line. By age 10, after the tragic death of his older sister during the polio epidemic, Jonathan poured his grief into music. He would later say, "Music was the only voice I had when life took the words away." Encouraged by a local music teacher, Miss Loretta Daniels, Jonathan earned a scholarship to the Berklee College of Music in Boston, where he majored in composition and ethnomusicology. Under the mentorship of jazz innovator Oscar Templeton, he learned to blend genres, jazz, blues, folk, and Caribbean rhythms, creating a distinctive sound that defied labels. In 1974, Jonathan released his debut album, Fields of Memory, which chronicled the Black Southern experience through haunting lyrics and layered acoustic textures. The album was nominated for a Grammy Award and became a cornerstone of the folk jazz fusion movement. Critics hailed him as a bridge between the aching past and the urgent present. Over the next 3 decades, Jonathan recorded 15 albums, collaborated with legends like Aretha Franklin and Carlos Santana, and toured 5 continents. Yet fame never consumed him. His heart remained rooted in social activism. In 1989, he founded the Harmony for Humanity Initiative, a nonprofit dedicated to bringing music education to marginalized communities across the American South. In 2001, McCall was awarded the National Medal of Arts for reshaping American music through the fusion of cultural memory and innovation. That same year, he received the UNESCO Artist for Peace designation, honoring his efforts to use music as a tool for reconciliation in post-conflict regions. However, Jonathan's path was not without shadows. In 1979, after a highly publicized fallout with a major record label over creative control, he disappeared from the mainstream for nearly a decade. During that time, he played anonymously in small-town cafes and church halls, reconnecting with the pure, communal spirit of music. His personal life was equally complex. Jonathan married visual artist Camille Boudreau in 1976. They shared 25 tumultuous years, marked by periods of separation and reconciliation. Together they had 2 daughters, Lillian, who became a civil rights attorney, and Naomi, a violinist. Camille once said in an interview, "Living with Jonathan was like living with a river. You could never hold him, only move with his current." At home, Jonathan was contemplative and warm. He collected antique maps, loved making elaborate gumbo recipes on rainy afternoons, and insisted on handwriting letters to friends and fans. He practiced meditation daily, often quoting his favorite proverb, "Still waters nourish the roots." His public persona, the eloquent magnetic performer, was in stark contrast to the quiet man who found his greatest peace tending to his backyard lemon trees or scribbling melodies into a weathered notebook. In his later years, Jonathan continued to mentor young musicians, holding free workshops and founding the McCall Legacy Fellowship, which provided grants to emerging artists of color. In his final interview recorded 2 months before his death, he said softly, "If you can find one note that holds your truth, sing it for those who have none." Jonathan battled pancreatic cancer for 3 years, yet he remained creatively active until the very end. His last public appearance was an intimate concert in New Orleans, where he performed sitting down, hands trembling slightly, but voice still strong, singing his first song, Little River Roads. He passed away at sunrise with his daughters by his side, a guitar resting quietly at the foot of his bed. Jonathan Edward McCall left behind not just memories, but an entire era embodied in his writings, ideas, and students. On April 24, 2025, in Denver, Colorado, the world mourned the loss of Samuel Dean Whitmore, a legendary American filmmaker, storyteller, and educator, whose lens captured the invisible threads that bind humanity. He passed away in the same city, where he had shot his first independent short film, completing a journey that had begun in the dusty suburbs of Hope. Samuel was born on January 11, 1949, in Wichita, Kansas, in a working-class African-American family. His father, a train engineer, and his mother, a library assistant, raised Samuel and his 2 sisters with a reverence for hard work, faith, and imagination. Samuel's earliest memories were shaped by the roar of freight trains, the smell of old books, and the whispered stories of resilience that filled his family gatherings. When he was 9 years old, a tornado destroyed their home, forcing the family to relocate to Denver, an upheaval Samuel later described as the first reel of my life's movie. His love for storytelling was ignited in high school, where he built makeshift cameras from broken equipment and filmed street scenes around his neighborhood. Following a severe car accident at age 17, which left him bedridden for months, Samuel began writing short scripts, inspired by the films of Sidney Poitier and Ingmar Bergman. That confinement taught him patience and gave him the conviction that every setback was simply an edit, not an ending. He attended the University of Southern California's School of Cinematic Arts, where he struggled initially with academic demands and racial prejudice. Expelled during his second year for clashing with a professor over creative differences, Samuel found work as a production assistant, slowly building connections and experience outside the classroom. His mentor during this period, indie filmmaker Louise Carver, taught him, "You don't need permission to tell the truth. You only need courage." In 1977, Whitmore directed his first full-length feature, Paper Shadows, a raw, haunting portrayal of life in the segregated Midwest. Though shot on a shoestring budget, the film premiered at the New York Film Festival and won the Critics' Special Jury Prize for its groundbreaking narrative style. The New York Times praised it as cinema that bleeds, breathes, and baptizes. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, Samuel continued to shatter conventions. His films, such as Amber Noon and Whispers Under Concrete, explored race, memory, urban alienation, and reconciliation with a poetic yet unflinching lens. In 1986, he received the Sundance Grand Jury Prize for Voices of Hollow Creek, a film that would later be preserved by the Library of Congress for its cultural significance. In 2003, Samuel was awarded the Academy Honorary Award for Lifetime Achievement, becoming one of the few independent filmmakers to receive Hollywood's highest recognition without compromising artistic integrity. In his acceptance speech, he famously said, "Telling a real story is like walking against the wind. You lean forward, you squint, you never stop." Despite acclaim, Samuel remained deeply connected to grassroots filmmaking. He founded the Free Lens Project in 2006, providing grants and mentorships to young storytellers from underrepresented communities. Over 100 emerging filmmakers credited Whitmore's support as instrumental to their careers. Behind the camera, Samuel was introspective, humble, and fiercely private. He married theater actress Marcia Lane in 1979. Their marriage, though passionate, weathered storms of creative rivalry and long periods of separation due to Samuel's grueling filming schedules. They had one son, Elijah, who became a documentary filmmaker and often said, "Dad taught me that beauty was in what everyone else ignored." At home, Samuel found solace in cooking elaborate meals, tending to his rooftop garden, and sketching storyboards late into the night. He disliked fame, rarely attended premieres, and preferred quiet conversations over public speeches. Those close to him described him as a man whose silence was heavier than his words, but whose words, when spoken, rearranged your bones. He remained politically active throughout his life, participating in civil rights marches, advocating for prison reform, and volunteering at inner-city youth centers. His activism was subtle but steady, much like his films, a whisper that built into a wave. In the final chapter of his life, Samuel battled a myotrophic lateral sclerosis. As his body weakened, he continued writing and advising young filmmakers through voice recordings and video calls. His final public appearance was a surprise cameo at a student film festival in Denver, where he appeared in a wheelchair, smiling as the crowd erupted in a standing ovation. His last recorded words to his family were simple: "Capture the world, but never forget to live inside it." Samuel Dean Whitmore left behind not just memories, but an entire era embodied in his writings, ideas, and students. Aaron Paul Sturtevant was born on August 27, 1979, in the small farming town of Emmett, Idaho, as the youngest of 4 children in a household where faith and family were cherished above all else. His mother, Darla, whose maiden name was Haynes, served as a devoted Baptist minister's wife and nurtured her son's early fascination with storytelling by singing hymns around the living room piano and encouraging him to recite Bible verses and poems aloud. His father, Robert Sturtevant, a pastor at the local congregation, instilled in young Aaron a profound sense of discipline, compassion, and moral responsibility, even as the family faced the challenges common to rural life in the Pacific Northwest. Though the Sturtevants were of modest means, their home rang with laughter and spirited debate, and the siblings, Aaron, his brother Shane, his sister Angela, and eldest brother Joshua, found joy in each other's company, staging backyard plays and inventing fantastical characters whose adventures unfolded beneath the wide Idaho sky. From the moment he could walk, Aaron showed an unusual confidence in front of others. His earliest memories included performing impromptu skits beside the family's chicken coop, narrating adventures set among the clucking hens, and improvising musical jingles for chores. In kindergarten, his teacher despaired that he could not sit still for circle time, for he preferred to leap into role play rather than remain at rest. She eventually channeled his energy by encouraging him to help organize the class puppet shows and recite poems during assemblies. By the time he reached the 1st grade, he was already known as the child who would burst into song at unexpected moments, transforming routine lessons into dramatic tableaus that left both classmates and teachers amused and enchanted. His parents, recognizing a spark beyond mere childhood play, enrolled him in the local community center theater workshops, where he met visiting drama instructors who taught him the rudiments of voice projection, gesture, and stage presence. During his elementary years, Aaron found kindred spirits among the other children drawn to performance. On Saturdays, he and his friends would gather in the basement of the church hall to rehearse short scenes from classic fairy tales. each sibling and neighbor taking turns as hero, villain, and narrator. His mother brought home scrap fabric from the church's charity sewing group, so they could fashion simple costumes. And his father would sit in the front pew as audience, applauding thunderously at each finale. Those afternoons, filled with imaginative exploration, laid the groundwork for a lifetime love of character and storytelling. Although his classmates teased him for playing grown-up, they could not deny the sincerity and joy he brought to each part, and soon local parents asked him to host neighborhood talent shows, further fueling his enthusiasm for performance. When the time came to enter junior high school, Aaron enrolled at Centennial Junior High in nearby Boise. There, he balanced a traditional academic schedule with participation in the school chorus and the drama club, which rehearsed in the old auditorium every Tuesday and Thursday evening. He studied music theory and learned to read notation, but he also discovered an instinct for comedic timing while playing supporting roles in the school's production of Peter Pan and the student-written one-act comedy, The Disappearing Desk. He excelled in English and history, writing short stories about legendary adventurers, yet he found the most fulfillment in the thick red velvet seats of the auditorium, where he watched older students lead musical numbers and felt an irresistible calling to join their ranks. His parents, though wary of the unpredictability of show business, admired his dedication, ensuring he completed homework assignments and maintained satisfactory grades, while quietly celebrating his performances with gentle praise and attendance at every recital. His teenage years at Centennial High School were a period of widening horizons and new challenges. Standing well above average height with a ready grin and expressive blue eyes, he cut an unmistakable figure in both the halls and on stage. He joined the Advanced Drama Ensemble, where he tackled scenes from Arthur Miller and August Wilson, under the tutelage of a passionate teacher who emphasized emotional truth over melodrama. In that environment, Aaron learned the value of vulnerability. To inhabit a character fully, he had to relinquish self-consciousness and open himself to the audience's gaze. He also tried his hand at music, playing guitar and writing simple songs that he performed at school talent nights, often accompanied by classmates who provided improvised percussion with castanets or tambourines. While other students gravitated toward sports or academic clubs, Aaron's closest friendships formed within the creative community of thespians and musicians, whose camaraderie sustained him through the awkward years of adolescence. Upon graduating from Centennial High in 1997, Aaron faced the same crossroads that confront many young people with artistic ambitions: pursue a safe, conventional path, or embark on the uncertain journey of a performer. He enrolled for a brief period in extension classes at Boise State University, studying communications and film theory, but found the commute and textbooks less compelling than the lure of audition notices and local casting calls. With his mother's blessing and a modest savings account, he packed his few belongings into a 1982 Toyota Corolla and set out for Los Angeles, where the broader stage beckoned. He arrived with $6,000, a single duffel bag, and an unshakable conviction that the perseverance and moral compass instilled by his family would guide him through whatever trials awaited. In Los Angeles, Aaron discovered that breaking into the entertainment industry required more than talent. It demanded tenacity, networking, and an almost monastic discipline for self-promotion. He signed up with a talent agency that specialized in commercial work and landed his first paid gig within weeks, a regional advertisement for a fast food chain that called for him to recite a jingle with zeal. Though the pay was modest, the experience introduced him to professional sets, union rules, and the delicate dance of hitting marks beneath glaring studio lights. Between auditions, he worked as a theater usher at Universal Studios, where he observed professional actors rehearse on stage and gleaned insights into pacing, audience engagement, and the subtle art of comedic delivery. Every free moment found him attending acting workshops, improv Olympic sessions, scene study classes, and on-camera technique seminars, in a fervent quest to bolster his skills. The first years of Aaron's career were a mosaic of small roles: a shirtless surfer in a music video, a distressed witness in a procedural police drama, a bad-tempered customer on a popular sitcom. Each part, no matter how brief, offered an opportunity to refine his craft and hone his instincts. He learned to create a fully realized character in mere seconds, an ability that caught the eye of casting directors seeking actors who could light up the screen despite minimal screen time. By 1999, he had earned guest star credits on well-known shows and appeared in independent films, building a resume that spoke of versatility and a willingness to tackle scandalous or offbeat material. Industry insiders noted that his performances radiated authenticity, as though he summoned fragments of his own life's joys and trials to inform each portrayal. The turning point arrived in 2006 when Aaron auditioned for the role of Jesse Pinkman, a troubled young man involved in illicit activities, for a new drama series on AMC. Although the producer initially saw him as too lighthearted for such a dark character, Aaron's audition impressed the show's creator with its rawness and spirit. Asked to return for a second reading, he dug deeper into the emotional turmoil of the character, weaving humor and vulnerability into every line. When the call finally came, he learned that he would be the co-lead of Breaking Bad, a series that would push him to the limits of his abilities and ultimately define a generation of television drama. During the early seasons of Breaking Bad, Aaron navigated uncharted territory, portraying a character at once desperate and defiant, capable of both cruelty and deep affection. The transformation demanded that he shed any lingering notions of comfort, embracing physical challenges, moral ambiguity, and intense emotional arcs. He collaborated closely with the writing team and his co-star to explore the intricacies of friendship under extreme pressure, cultivating a chemistry on screen that captivated viewers worldwide. Critics praised his work for its honesty and grit, and audiences responded by making Jesse Pinkman a cultural touchstone, quoting his idiosyncratic utterances and inundating social media with fan art and passionate debate. By the conclusion of the show's third season, Aaron Paul had transcended the status of promising newcomer to become a household name. His portrayal of Jesse Pinkman earned him award nominations and a devoted fan base. Yet even at this moment of widespread recognition, he remained grounded by the values instilled in him during childhood: humility, empathy, and an unrelenting work ethic. Although his popularity was soaring, he had yet to reach the full summit of fame that would come with later award wins, film roles, and high-profile endorsements. In that intermediate phase, when his craft had earned the respect of critics and the devotion of millions, but his career was still on an ascending arc, he continued to challenge himself, seeking out roles that contrasted sharply with his breakout character, and refining his methods through ongoing study and collaboration. Looking back on those formative years, it was clear that Aaron Paul's journey from a farm town in Idaho to the heights of prestige television had been propelled by both innate gift and unwavering resolve. His early experiences, puppet shows in a church basement, musical recitals at high school talent nights, the long drives between Boise and Los Angeles, had converged to shape an actor capable of channeling life's contradictions with authenticity and heart. In those days, he proved that artistry demands not only talent but courage. The courage to risk failure in pursuit of truth, the courage to remain open to transformation, and the courage to honor the lessons of home, even as he embraced the world beyond. His life and achievements left an indelible mark on the landscape of modern drama, ensuring that his contributions to the craft would be remembered and revered long after the final scene had faded to black.